Welcome to the Kingdom Culture Podcast that was created on purpose with a purpose to empower, uplift, and guide others to the center of God's perfect will. Kingdom Culture family, welcome back to the Kingdom Culture Podcast. I hope everybody's been having a great couple of weeks. As we know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I kind of wanted to talk about that today. Because I used to ignore it a lot. I used to say, like, be tough, you got to get through it. Don't let anything, keep you from doing what you have to do. But like how I said in the last episode, if we're trying to actually align ourselves so that our life feels less hectic, then we have to truly take a moment and realize that our mental health matters, and it's a lot, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about. When I was younger, I would ignore it a lot. I would just be like, oh, I'm such a baby, I don't need to be doing this, it's not as important, like nobody cares about how I'm feeling. So I wanted to talk about that because I think also in Hispanic households it's a big deal where we're not, at least I didn't grow up showing my emotions, and so I didn't learn how to regulate them either, right? So I wanted to bring you guys mental health by the numbers because that is important to me. And when I was researching all of this, it was quite shocking. So, 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. experience mental illness each year. That's about 57.8 million people. That's according to the National Institute of Mental Health. Those are numbers that they pulled up. That was crazy for me. Then it says, depression rates have more than tripled since the pandemic. So before COVID-19, about 8.5% of U.S. adults had symptoms of depression, but in 2021, that number jumped from 32.8, and it remains high. So it jumped from 8.5 to 32.8, and it keeps climbing, and it remains super high. According to the CDC, more than 42% of high school students reported feeling persistently sad or hopeless in 2021, which was up from 28% in 2011. Wow. So young people are especially affected, right? And I think that makes a lot of sense because around 17 to 21, that's when I felt the most lonely, misunderstood, because we crave to fit in, right? We crave to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And so when I started reading this stuff, that young people are especially affected, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? Because we're in high school and, we have friends, there's peer pressure, there's a lot of things that are trying to influence us now. And I think it's 10 times worse now because we have social media and we're constantly, scrolling, and comparison can become a thing. And, it was just shocking to me that, 42% of high school students reported feeling persistently sad or hopeless. Now, what I'm about to say next is honestly very sad to me, just because I understand how this feels like. I understand what it means to, feel like there's no more hope, feel like life would be better if, you weren't feeling all of these emotions. But suicide is now the second leading cause of death for people ages 10 to 34. And when I read that, it was just shocking. Second leading cause of death for those age groups. And, I praise God. I praise God that I failed every time that I tried to do that. And it's a heavy topic, and people that have gone through it or have lost somebody through that, I can't relate. I can't relate to your pain. I cannot relate to what you have gone through. But it made me think about how we should support each other more, how we should check in more, how we should stop this thing of canceling each other out and matching energies. And if they don't care about us, we shouldn't care about them. And we shouldn't check in if they're not texting us first. And, we need to just disconnect from social media because honestly, it's just one lens into somebody's life. I try to use my social media for good, positive, right, things. So you guys don't see all of the struggles that I go through mentally, physically. Like, I don't share any of that because I want to leave Earth a better place than when I came into it. So you're only going to see the happy-go-lucky, positive sides. But honestly, I hope and pray that, you guys take some time and reflect and realize that the friends that you have are your friends. Friendships, relationships, family members, all of that. It takes intention to want to be in their lives. It takes intention to want to build a deeper relationship, right? And just because they're happy and they're the one that's always smiling, the one that's always out, doesn't mean that they're happy. And it's a heavy topic, and a lot of people don't understand it, right? But when the light looks so dim and there's nobody checking in on you, suicide can win. And I just pray that, we become more aware of that and look for signs and pay attention, right? And it's sad, but, well, I just pray over those people, and I hope that the Lord does his thing, and we can move forward and change these statistics. That's what I pray for, because 10 to 34, I feel like that's still so young. There's so much more life left. I look at people that are like 80, 85, and they're still very alive, very going on trips and doing all these things. I'm like, guys, I'm just 30 right now, and I'm just like, there's so much more life left. I just want to live. I want to make sure that I'm living with a purpose, and because there's so much more life. I'm just now getting started with my life. And that age group, 10 to 34, really really touched my heart. I also found that anxiety is the most common mental illness in the US. It affects about 40 million adults every year, which is about 19.1% of the population. Now, also, another problem that we have is that we, don't have access to care. More than 50% of adults with mental illness don't receive treatment, often due to stigma, lack of resources, or cost barriers. So when I read that, I'm like, stigma, that's true, especially in men. I feel like men don't ever talk about their mental health or what they're going through. And the men that do, they're very emotionally intelligent, and they know themselves, and they're strong enough to speak up on what's going on. But the stigma of, men having to keep it all inside and not talk about what's going on is crazy to me. I think I've learned as a wife to really listen and try to understand, what my husband was going through when he was going through it. I tried to be, very delicate when he was feeling down. And even with my youth kiddos, the kids, come in and they're very happy, very excited to come to class, but I took the time to actually ask them, hey, so what's going on? How are you really feeling? Because believe it or not, the front is easier than to accept what's going on. Having this front of I'm super good, I'm happy, I'm doing the things is a lot easier than saying hey, you know what? Actually, I don't feel good. There's something going on in here, and I don't know what to do with it. But if treatment for adults is hard, because of cost or lack of resources, we have to make sure that within our own groups, right? I always say that you're going to make the corner of your own little world better. Just, try to be that friend that checks in, that allows for space for people to be vulnerable and be able to be themselves, because it's important. Social media and tech use have been linked to rising mental health struggles, especially among teens and young adults. Like I said, that increases anxiety, depression, and poor sleep. The constant scrolling, never disconnecting, that's that's something that was affecting me too, and I had to put a barrier on my phone. Like I put time stops on social media. I put time stops on myself. I made sure that I'm going to bed at a regular hour. 9:30, 10 o'clock is the latest that my son and I will go to sleep, because it is a lot. Think about it. When I was in high school, and that was only like 11 years ago, that's when social media was really trying to, come out with MySpace and all that stuff, Snapchat. But I don't think we were as connected as we are now. The constant notifications, text messages, just the access that people have to you is crazy. And I'm happy that, even though I run a business online and I do this for you guys, like I have put up boundaries for myself that have been healthy and allow me to, sleep better, disconnect, make sure that, I'm not sharing a lot of things about my life on social media, not because I don't want to share it with you guys, but because it's for my own mental health. Because fears come with that as well, of like, who's watching me, like, is my son safe, and all of those little things that we don't talk about. Like, there's like open tabs in your mind in the background, and that's what I realized when I was going through my healing journey of like, what actually matters to me, and what am I going to share, how am I going to share it, how much time am I going to actually spend scrolling, looking at somebody else's life and not, enjoy mine. So, social media is a big cost for all of this. And after COVID, right, there was a lot of things that happened because we were all locked up and everything else that happened. But we need to start realizing that our life is still outside of this phone. Your life is still outside of watching this podcast. And what are little things that you can do to be more present and enjoy more time outside of screens. Another cool fact that I found was that 44% of employees worldwide experience daily stress, the highest in over a decade. And that's work-related stress. 44% of employees worldwide. Daily stress. Now, stress can be healthy. It can be, because it'll make you want to change something. It'll make you want to be better. It'll, if you're not happy with your life, stress will like kind of wake you up and want to do things. But if you are having chronic stress and you're feeling fatigued and you feel like your life is not going to continue on, then that's a problem. I used to deal with that a lot when I was in my 9 to 5. I would dread going to work. I would dread having to wake up every day and like have to go there at a certain point. And then I realized, like, hey, you know what? Like, what are my controllables? What are things that I can actually change? What are things that are not in my control, and like let those go slowly. But 44% of employees experience daily stress. So start to think about like the things in your day-to-day that bring you stress, or like you're overthinking about, because it'll help with that, And of course, I want to help you guys navigate through all of this. And I want to give you guys some tips that helped me with my anxiety and my emotions and my stress and everything else. So for my anxiety, I practice grounding techniques like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Identify 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can smell, etc. Like bringing yourself back to your present moment with your body, right? I cut back on caffeine and alcohol, so I stopped drinking completely. And then my caffeine, I actually only have 1 cup of coffee a day, and I don't drink it until about 90 minutes after I wake up. Every morning I wake up, I drink water with electrolytes, and then wait about 90 minutes to drink caffeine, because caffeine actually raises your anxiety levels and symptoms. And alcohol, same thing. You guys know this, move your body daily. For me, I work out every day, or at least I try to work out 5 days a week. And when I don't work out and I have rest days, I actually still walk and just keep my body moving. So, like I said, just a walk, a stretch session, something to just keep your nervous system regulated by moving your body. That's what I do. For depression, this one's a little bit more personal to me, but this is what helped me a lot. I used to lay in my bed forever when I was depressed. I did not do anything. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't drink water. I wouldn't do the healthy things. So when I started to heal from that, I built a small daily routine. So I would wake up, make my bed, and then eat something, because the structure created some safety net within me that I'm like, okay, cool. Whenever I'm feeling like this, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z and get myself to start my day in that way. It doesn't have to be something, like a to-do list or super extreme. Do little things. So like for me, like I said, because I used to sleep all day, I would wake up, get up out of bed and make it so that I didn't have to jump back in it. And then eating something really just helped me get my body to move, because I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't drink anything, and it helped me. So what are the little things that you can implement when you're feeling like this? Maybe taking a shower as soon as you wake up, because showers are calming and they can help you. And then if you use like your first 10 seconds and use cold water, then that also helps regulate your system. Kind of like a cold plunge, right? But it's not as extreme. So try that. Another thing that truly helped me is to do one joyful thing daily. For me, it was small. For me, it was to listen to music, positive music. For you, it could be going out to see nature, journaling, reading, praying, doing your Bible, doing a Bible reflection. But do one joyful thing daily when you're feeling depressed, because it'll take you out of the mindset of in the lack of. You'll be into abundance. You'll be into your blessings. You'll remind yourself like, hey, you know what? Actually, there is so much more to live for. And then the last thing for depression, right? I used to reach out to people when it was so hard. One text to a friend, a check-in can shift your mindset, honestly. And I only did it with a couple of people, just because I knew who would not judge me for it. I knew who wouldn't just say the wrong thing. So be very selective on what friends you actually reach out to, because if you get triggered again, it can make you spiral. And I'm saying it from experience. And I'm so happy that the Lord has given me a village of people that love me, that pray for me, that help me, that understand where, I get when I'm in depression, that now know when to reach out to me if I'm taking a little too long to, text back or whatever, because I've become very present in my friends' lives. And before I wasn't. I would just be gone for months at a time, and they just thought I was doing my thing, but I was suffering in silence. So, start thinking about who your little village is going to be. Who are those people that are going to help you when you're feeling this low? I know it's hard. Like I said, it's a lot easier to put on a happy face and go back in the darkness and just deal with it on your own. But 12 minutes, a conversation of 12 minutes with a really dear friend changes your mood, changes your mindset. It allows you to see that you actually are loved, accepted, and needed. And that was the thing that I needed the most at the time, to feel accepted and that there was a reason for me to be here. As little as one person needs you every single day. And if you're going through depression, like, I get it. It's hard. It's difficult. It could be very, very dark. But you are needed. You are loved by the Most High. And He has created you with purpose and so much love. He has so much love for you, that I pray that, your village comes and they can help you. And, also go to therapy. It helps a lot to just talk to a stranger about where you are mentally, and they give you different perspectives that I don't think you would think about yourself, or even your friends or family members. So that's another thing. Seek help for help. Now, limit your social media to avoid a comparison fatigue. Like I said, I think social media right now is just very draining, and it actually does something to your brain. But that's another episode. but we need to stop living off of these screens. I love the U.S. chicken and do the, see the podcast, but please, please, please realize that there's so much more life out there, and we're missing it because we're scrolling. I remember there was a time in my life where I could not let go of my phone. And I was with my son, I was on my phone. I was with family, I was on my phone. I was at a park and I was on my phone, trying to capture everything with my son. And I'm like, wait, no, because I'm capturing it, I'm not really living in the moment. So limit your time on social media. Phones have this cool thing now. There's people that have created apps where you can block the social media apps so you cannot get in them. And just live your life actually right now in this moment. Because you don't get another one, and you deserve to live in a present time. Create safe spaces to talk, whether that's a mentor, coach, or support group. Like I said, just talking things out sometimes helps a lot with anxiety and depression and everything else, because you get out of your head, and you voice it out, and it helps. This one was really hard for me, but I started doing it, and it's been so rewarding. Is to celebrate your small wins. Remind that it's a reminder that healing and growth aren't linear, but you also get out of the oops, I'm not good enough. Oh man, why can't I do this? When am I going to get to that goal? When you celebrate your small wins and you celebrate your progress instead of looking at the end all be all picture, it brings you back to, again, this present moment. And I think that's what I'm trying to say is live in your present moment. For so long, I was stressing out about the future, about, man, I did this back then. Why can't I do it again? What's it going to take for me to get to X, Y, and Z? But reality is you only get one step after the other, right? My mindset mentor said one time, he said, so when you're driving in the dark, with your headlights on, you can only see the first, 100 feet, if anything, in front of you. Everything else you don't know. And you're trusting that your GPS or whatever else you using to guide you to be correct. But you only get to see 100 feet, in front of you. Why would you stress out about your life when you can only see that much? And for me, faith really has brought me into this grounding of hey, God's only going to give you one step at a time. And the more that you spend time with him, the more that you realize that it's all in the day-to-day things and not big jumps or whatever else. And it's not going to happen overnight. But trust and know that living in your everyday presently is what's going to change your life, right? Another cool hack that I started to do was to unfollow accounts that drained me. So, believe it or not, scrolling and looking at negative things on social media or drama or things that are just not good for your mind honestly brings so much more anxiety right now too. So with everything going on in the US and everybody speaking about how bad our president is and all these things, I'm just nope, I'm gonna turn it off. I turned off the news. There was a moment where I was really, really stressing out about what was going to happen. You guys know, I'm a DACA recipient, so I'm over here I gotta check where we're at. I gotta check what's going on, my family. We have to make sure that we stay indoors. We can't go to the store. We can't do this. We can't do that. I was the one running back and forth to Walmart to make sure that nobody else had to go. It was crazy. But I then realized that I was just scrolling into the chaos. I was watching the news. I was keeping up with everything. And even though it's so good to be informed, it is. I promise you it's so good to be informed because then you know what's going to happen and you can take a step forward. But limit yourself to the doom scrolling because it'll take a toll and your anxiety will skyrocket. I was stressing out. I was oh my gosh, I have to go and meet with my lawyers, make sure that everything else is going good for my residency. It was just so exhausting. So limit the doom scrolling and unfollow accounts that drain you. Honestly, even if it's people you haven't talked to from high school, they're not a part of your life. Why do you need them on social media? And I think that's a part where I've grown a lot too. It's just hey, I don't have to have you on socials. You're not part of my life. Again, it's outside of the phones, y'all. Stopped caring about followers. Like, whatever. The people that, need to hear my message will be here, and those that don't won't. And that's okay. So unfollow accounts that drain you. It's so liberating, and it's so awesome to not just have positive feeds and good things on my social media. And again, like scrolling. Replace it with mood-boosting activities like reading, creating, calling a friend. I have gotten into playing my guitar again, my piano. I have gotten into drawing, coloring, going outside now because there's no snow on the floor in Michigan. It's just been really cool to grab my son and we'll do different things together. Just stop scrolling so much. Let's see here. So, like always, right? I leave you guys with a Bible verse. So, when your mind is heavy, anchor it in God's truth. Sometimes action, thoughts, sadness, or feelings of unworthiness can spiral. And one powerful way to always fight back is renewing your mind daily with Scripture. So there's a few of these that I wanted to share with you guys because for every single one is different. The first one is Romans 12:2, which is, not Romans 12:2, 2 Timothy 1:7. God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. This is you speaking God's promises over yourself aloud, and that helps. Another one is the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, which is Psalms 34:18. When you're feeling your lowest, God is near you and wants to help you through everything that you do and what you're going through. He understands the feelings. It always reminds me of when Jesus was about to go on the cross, right, the night before, and he went up to the Garden of Gethsemane, and he's like, hey, please take this cup away from me, Lord. And he was so anxious, so anxious that he started sweating blood. And I just think about that. I'm like, wow, how much anxiety, how much pain, how much fear did he have to be feeling to react that way? And so when I read the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, I'm just like, God had to be with him at that moment, because at the last sentence of that verse is like, but may your will be done, Lord. And wow, it just shows that through Christ we can do all things. And it brings me to Philippians 4:13 that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Let faith be your foundation when your feelings slide to you. Prayer, worship, journaling to God can shift your whole mood and mindset. It's worth it. And if you don't believe in God, that's okay. Just, try to get out of your head a lot, because when we're in here, we're not actually physically out here, and in here it could be 10 times worse than it actually is when you write it out or speak to somebody. But please, if you're dealing with anything, don't be afraid to reach out to those that love you. Reach out to me if you would like. I would love to pray for you. But this is serious, and just reading these facts and understanding that mental health is a big thing now and it matters is important to me. And I pray that this episode opens your mind and allows you to share it with somebody else, or have tips for somebody in your life that might be going through the same thing, right? So anyways, thank you so much for being here. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and know that I love you, but that the Lord loves you more. Always. We'll see you guys on the next one.